Значит, задача стояла стил Dooley, и как я это решал, мы сейчас посмотрим.
Hi, today I'm going to talk about my creative process for making Dooley's game board. So making the board for Dooley was a fun challenge because it was a merge of traditional Eastern architecture with advanced technology. So I started by making a reference sheet. I wanted to see what is considered modern today. At the top, we have just some examples of modern architecture. We see some ethnic ornaments, distinctive of the East in this kind of modern arrangement. I picked out all of these beautiful things and started to create a sense of a more realistic city, but at the same time, suitable for our style. Then I came up with the idea that Dooley's board didn't have to be flat, but it could be elevated. We can see the city far below. This gives us an idea of the scale. The fifth element immediately came to mind, and I started using this as a reference to create the board. I started with skyscrapers and thought this board could be on the roof. I added elements of functionality, like where the robots would live or work on the building. We can add something here, maybe a giant box to house spare parts, or perhaps Dooley can live there with other droids. Here's the first and second options. I added some smoother forms here and some inverted tech, intertwining archways. Some of these designs were inspired by Eastern architects. I've started composing dynamic compositions from them to turn this classical element into something modern, more mathematical. This option was chosen, and I began to add color to the illustration. I chose a warm color scheme, a warm evening tone, and a sunset color scheme so that there wouldn't be any hard shadows. This lighting is favorable. Photographers often use it as a standard element for enhancing any item. Because of a cold shadow and warm light, it gives contrast and interest. I added some geometry to the buildings to make it more interesting, and the board now has a composition to it. And then we have something interesting here. The lines move the eye to the center of the board, and it shows us more of the city in space. I had already created the ground level of this city. Initially, I incorporated some kind of computer card in here and began to outline it, turning it into paths, park areas, and residential areas. I added details, and houses would now have landing zones for balloons or any vehicles that are used on the bazaar. Trees and plants were added to make the player feel comfortable amongst all the concrete and glass. I then focused on what was happening around the board. I drew some robots charging and maybe repairing. I added details and elements like a drone to the aesthetic. We added signs everywhere and then moved on to polishing. I hope you enjoyed seeing my process of creating Dooley's board.